Let's look at a couple examples of how we can interpret our measures of central tendency, mean, median, and mode. It says here, Elliott School has 28 graduates this year. The town turned out to witness the graduation of John Wilson, age 80. Of the other graduates, 7 were 17 years old, 19 were 18 years old, and 1 was 19 years old. One person remarked, the average age of the graduates must be about 35 years. Kind of thinking maybe close to halfway between 17 and 80. Was this person's estimate of the average age, the mean, correct? Well, if we think of it, remember, if we were to find the average or the mean, we add all the ages of the graduates up. Meaning we have Mr. Wilson, who's 80, plus we have 7 17-year-olds, plus 19 18-year-olds, and 1 19-year-old. So if we add all of those up and divide by how many graduates there were, 28, we get 560 divided by 28, and when we divide that, we get 20. So according to this, the average age of our graduates is 20 years old. Now, is that the most representative? First of all, was his estimate correct? No, it was 20 years old, not 35 years old. Second of all, would the mean be the most representative? Think about this. We have 7 17-year-olds. We have 19 18-year-olds. 1 19-year-old, and an 80-year-old. 20 years old is going to be older than 27 of the graduates. Is that best representing the ages of the graduates? I don't think so. Yes, 20 is close to these, but because Mr. Wilson was so much older, it kind of brought the mean way up. None of the graduates, with the exception of him, are 20 years old. So in this case, the mean is probably not the most representative. Let's look at the median and the mode. The median in this case would be the middle number. Well, we could list 17 out 7 times and 18 out 19 times, but I'm going to focus on the idea that there's 28 total. Half of 28 is 14. So if you think of it, we had 7 that were 17, another 7, well, they're going to be 18 years old. So if I were to list all of this out, I would find out that the median, is actually 18 years old. 7 were 17-year-old, and another 7 would be 18 years old. So the median, the middle number of all these, is 18. The mode, remember, is the number that occurs the most often. Well, that is also going to be 18. Now, is 18 a better representative of all these ages? I think so. Again, the 80-year-old brought the mean up to 20. And although 20 is close to these, it is older than all the graduates except 1. If we were to use the median or mode to describe this data set, that would work a lot better because 19 of the 28 were 18 years old. And remember, 27 of them were between 17 and 19. So in this case, the median or mode best represent this data set. Let's look at another example. A teacher presents a lesson 2 ways, each with a different group of students. The first group scores 8, 3, 5, 3, and 9 on a quiz. The second group scores 5, 6, 1, 5, and 4. Using our measures of central tendency, our mean, median, mode, which group did better? So let's start by putting them in order and finding out what the measures of central tendency are. 3, 3, 5, 8, and 9. Our mean, if we were to add all of these up, 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 8 plus 9, that's 28. And divide it by 5, we would get 5.6. Our median, which is the middle number, in this case would be 5. And our mode is the number that occurs most often. In this case, 3 occurs twice, so our mode is 3. If we look at our second group, if I were to put these numbers in order, I would get 1, 4, 5, 5, and 6. Our mean, if we added them up, we would get 21 divided by 5, which is 4.2. Our median, the middle number, is going to be 5. And our mode, the number that occurs the most often, is also 5. So Using this information, which group did better? Well, if we focus just on the median, the middle number here, they seem to have scored the same. Both the medians are 5. The mode, well, if we look just at the mode, the first group kind of did a little worse than the second group because their mode was 3 and their mode was 5. But I don't think the mode best represents because, again, we're talking about a pretty small data set. Let's look at the mean. The mean in this case is a 5.6. In the second group, it's a 4.2. The mean represents the average. So the average scores in the first group are about 5.6. The average scores in the second group are about 4.2. Although they're fairly close, using our measures of central tendency, I think that the first group did better. And why do I think the first group did better? Because their mean, or their average, is higher. It's important to use all of the measures of central tendency because, again, sometimes the mean is the best representation, but not always. That's why we have a median mode as well. And we have to look at our data set. In both of these cases, they're just going from 3 to 9 or 1 to 6. So it's not like there's an outlier, someone who scored like an 80 on here that's kind of throwing off the mean. So in this case, again, looking at these scores compared to these scores, their mean is higher, so I'm going to say the first group did better.